Sits on the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees. Republican Congressman Greg Steube of Florida. Great to see you today. Are we about to learn a lot of what we don't know about how the Russia probe began?
Well, I hope so. I've been saying for weeks and months that we need to investigate how did we get to where we are today? And I think it's great that the Attorney General has gotten an investigator to investigate these things. And I think the American people are due the information as to why the Department of Justice was surveilling or spying on the Trump campaign. And I think every American has the right to know about that. And if there was criminal activity that was going on and political activity that was going on that precipitated that investigation, I think that justice should be held on those people.
You know, this is what Attorney General Barr said that he was going to do. And as far back as his confirmation hearings, he was talking about looking at all of the options for investigations on the table to see what needed furthering, if you will. John Durham, and I said this earlier, has a reputation for being, quote unquote, a bulldog. Are you familiar with his reputation, and how much would that play a role in all of this?
I'm not familiar with his reputation, but I like the reputation of a bulldog because I think that's the type of person that you're going to need to investigate the type of things that were going on at the DOJ. Like, was the entire basis of getting that FISA warrant this Steele dossier that was promulgated by Hillary Clinton's campaign? I think those are things that the American people should know, and I think they should be investigated because there shouldn't be any politicizing in our Department of Justice or FBI.
Is there anything that you would say needs uncovering, maybe that we haven't spent a lot of time focusing on? And, you know, Christopher Steele, a British spy who helped put together an anti-Trump dossier, is something that the American people understand, and they get that. And, yeah, where did that come from? And could it happen to other Americans being spied on, that sort of thing? But is there anything else that pops to you that now we have an opportunity to learn about?
Well, I'm glad that we're going to have an investigator that's specifically focused on this. And you've heard the president speak about that this type of thing shouldn't happen to another president. And what he's talking about is where did all this come from and how did this start? And if it was politically motivated, then we as Americans should know that. And if there were crimes being committed at the Department of Justice to obtain these FISA warrants, then hopefully and it sounds like they're investigating that, and justice needs to prevail if that type of thing was going on at the DOJ.
Well, and that makes it bipartisan. And what I was talking about, Congressman Steube, has to do with what happens with all Americans and the reach of this FISA court. It's secret, and we get that. But if things were not done properly or legally, that's something that Americans need to know about regardless of politics.
Yeah, it could happen to a congressman from Florida, let's say. It could happen to anybody if there's some political motivation and there's not checks and balances in place for this secret court to issue warrants to basically surveil on another American. And I think most Americans would be very troubled about that.
But so what do you make of, and I want to shift gears here to the former White House counsel Don McGahn. The president has said he should not testify. And so, I mean, you're a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Has a scheduled hearing with the former counsel for the White House, Don McGahn, for next week. How would that play a role in all of this? The president, again, doesn't want him to testify.
Well, Don McGahn was interviewed for 30 hours. He is quoted more than any other person in the Mueller report. So I don't know what in the world the Judiciary Committee would find out that Mueller didn't find out through his 22-month, $25 million investigation into what was going on. And I think the president absolutely has the right to claim executive privilege. He was the counsel for the White House, for the president at that time. And I think he absolutely, the president, has the ability to exert executive privilege on those communications.
Does Don McGahn have the right to be a no-show?
I leave that, he's his own counsel in his own right. I leave that up to him and his lawyers to make that determination. But I don't think that we as a Judiciary Committee are going to learn anything that Mueller and his team didn't investigate on.
Where is this going? I mean, if there is an opportunity to talk with Don McGahn, would there be a list of others? You know, the American people have spoken. They have a lot of things they want lawmakers to work on, health care, that sort of thing. Is this the same type of discovery, if you will, like what William Barr is about to do by investigating how the probe began into Russia?
Well, you've seen that the Democrats, and especially in the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee, all they care about is trying to undo the election of 2016. And that's all of their focus have been, is into investigating the president and trying to investigate and find things that they could bring as a basis of impeachment. Even members in my own class, when I was elected, short after swearing in, were talking about impeaching the president. There are members in the Judiciary Committee that have talked about that. So I think they're trying to do everything they can to undo the election in 2016 because they can't beat Trump at the ballot box.
Yeah, I ask that on behalf of people who may look at this and say, well, is this just politics going back and forth? You investigate here and we'll investigate there. Real quick, last word.
Well, I would love for the Judiciary Committee to focus on issues that affect the lives of Americans, like securing our border, creating jobs, and focusing on things that's going to keep our economy booming like it is today.
Congressman Steube, thank you very much for joining us.